a framework in which we are going to realize broader trade within the continent and trading with each other through and guided by AFCFTA. And so that is a good step to begin with. But that's not an end in itself. We all should have been bearing in mind that that is a good beginning of a very hard task that we had to carry out as well. And doing it brings more benefits than just creating a concept around and framing things around trade and trading with each other. Doing it is the most important thing. And that's where we have fallen short as a continent. We are falling short. We are not moving at the right pace, and therefore that requires we look back and ask ourselves all along, why did we create this? And if we fully understood the benefits, how can we falter on the way to doing what we have to do? So that takes discussions. We keep nudging each other and trying to find the excuses some people have or reasons for not contributing to it fully as we should. So that's a work in progress. But I agree with you. It can cause frustration, and for good reasons. I think the Africans must be frustrated, and maybe those who really put a lot of weight to all this must be feeling the frustration. But we can't just keep complaining. We have to find a way of getting together and doing what we have to do. Again, it's not as easy as that, as just saying it. So I'm concerned, but I'm also happy that this effort was ever put in place. So the frustration is just about how fast and how well can move forward. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take the next question from Dive, RBA.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwayo Dive nkorera RBA. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, leta imaze iminsi ifata ingamba zikomeye ku binyobwa bisembuye n'inzoga zitujuje ubuziranenge. Zimwe mu nganda zarafunzwe, ibicuruzwa bimwe biramenwa, ndetse ba nyiri inganda abazikoreraga n'abakozi ba leta bakurikiranyweho kugira uruhare muri iki kibazo. Hari abavuga ku buzima bw'abaturage ko bwari mu kaga kubera izi nzoga, ariko nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, hari n'abandi bavuga ku gihombo cy'abashoramari n'abacuruzi. Kuri mwe iki kibazo murakivugaho iki? Gikwiriye gusiga irihe somo yaba ku bacuruzi ndetse no ku nzego za leta zishinzwe ubuziranenge n'ubutumwa muha abaturage bijyanye n'iki kibazo? Murakoze.
Kuri icyo kibazo tureke kwibaza gusa ibivugwa. Kwibaza ibivugwa, abantu bavuga ibintu bashatse ibyo ari byo byose bitewe n'imitekerereze yabo cyangwa uko bifuza. Ariko kubivugwa twongereho n'ibigaragara n'ibyo tubona noneho biba. Hari ibyo binyobwa bidafite ubuziranenge na gake ndetse bihita n'abantu, twahera aho ngaho twakwibaza, ariko ibi nibyo byica abantu, byisha abantu, tugaheraho honyine. Igisubizo ugishaka wese aragifite. Byica abantu, byisha abantu, ndetse batagira umubare. Niba mukurikira rero nyine amakuru nk'uko bamwe muri mwe mugomba kuba mukurikira, ntabwo ari ukuvuga ngo hapfuye abantu babiri gusa uyu munsi, ngo ejo hapfuye undi umwe. Barapfa ari 20, 30, 50, hari ubwo hapfuye abagera ari hafi kugera mu 100. Ndavuga ku munsi umwe. Ugiye gushyira hamwe abamaze gupfa mu mwaka, barabyumva uko abantu bangana. Mbere yuko ngera kuri ibyo bindi by'inganda by'abakozi, tubanze dusubize ikibazo cy'ubuzima cy'aba bantu. Ese turashaka inganda n'abakozi bazikoramo bari buhitanwe n'ibikorerwa muri izo nganda, cyangwa turashaka ibihitana abantu batwaye mu nganda kugurisha ibikenewe n'izo nganda, ukajya muri izo nganda ugatwarayo ibyo inganda zikoresha, warangiza wataha wakwifuza gufata ku byavuye mu byo watwaye mu nganda ukahagwa. Ibyo ni ubuzima abantu bakwiriye kuba bemera bakurikira. Ariko noneho wenda turavuga ibya hano gusa, nabyo kandi bifite agaciro, ni nabyo duhereyeho. Ibyo binyobwa byica abantu nta nubwo ari ibikorerwa hano cyangwa ibituruka hano gusa, hari n'ibituruka hanze. Ibituruka hanze bizanwa bituje ubuziranenge, bikica abantu. Maze mu kwica hari uburyo butandukanye. Hari ibibica uwo munsi, icyo cyumweru, hari nabo bizica nyuma y'umwaka. Kwica buhoro ukagenda uko binywa bikagenda bikwica kugeza igihe umuntu anogoka nyuma y'umwaka. Ibyo rero ntabwo ndumva neza igihe umuntu waba bishyigikiye ngo atekereze inganda, atekereze abantu bakora muri izo nganda, ukuyemo abo byica umunsi ku wundi nk'uko bizwi, nk'uko mubibona. Abo rero reba nk'uruganda cyangwa uburyo abantu bateguye ibyo binyobwa, byaba ari mu ruganda, byaba ari mu rugo, byaba ari hehe, byisha abantu uyu munsi. Birongeye wowe ibyo ukora, ndavuga ahantu hamwe, birongeye byisha abandi uwundi munsi, ikindi gihe. Birongeye byisha abandi, I'm talking about the same place, ndavuga ahantu hamwe. Birongeye byisha abandi ahandi ikindi gihe. Ubu ukavuga ngo urakora ikize. Ariko noneho usibye wowe ubikora bikica abantu, iki gihugu kiyoborwa gite? Igihugu cyareka abantu bagapfa gusa kikarebera cyo kiba ari igihugu cye? Ni igihugu gifite imibereho imeze ite? ni nayo mpamvu bariya bashinzwe imirimo itandukanye ireba ibi by'ubuziranenge uvuga bakurikiranwaho babazwa ibyo babazwa nicyo bagiriyeho. Izo nzego zigiriyeho kureba ngo ibikorwa ibyo ari byo byose ntabwo byica abantu, ahubwo ni ibifasha ubuzima bw'abantu gutera imbere. Bamwe muri aba rero ndibwira ko babifitemo uruhare, ndetse bashobora kuba bafite n'uruhare muri izo nganda, cyangwa se abafite izo nganda babahuma amaso bakareka ibintu byabo bigahita bikajya kwica abantu. Ibyo niko ntekereza, ariko noneho bazabyisubiririza igihe bakurikiranweho ibyo ngibyo, nibo bazabisubiza, nta wundi wabibasubiriza. Si ibyo gusa, n'ibindi tumaze iminsi tuvuga, niba mubikurikira, ibi biyobyabwenge abantu hari iby'ibinyobwa, hari ibindi by'ibiyobyabwenge abantu bahinduye, mwagiye murabiririmba mubyita amazina y'igitangaza, mugira mute birica abantu, birica abana, birica abantu batoya. Iki gihugu n'abakuru hari ababirimo, ndetse birica abantu igihugu cyaberaho kugira ngo kirebere abantu bapfa, abantu bacyo bapfa. Ntuvuga ngo hatazagira ubaza bakwiriye kubaza impamvu abantu bapfa, ntabwo ari ukubaza impamvu ibyica abantu bicibwa. Kuri iyo ntambara rero, abanyumva cyangwa n'ababirimo bo babyiteguye, ntabwo abo turaza guhangana nabo nyine. Ibintu baraza kujya ku murongo uko bikwiye, abantu bazi icyo bisaba, baragishoboye, ariko ibyo kujya kuzana imico n'imikorere yica abantu aho bayivana birabareba aho ngaho handi, niba barabyemeye. Ibyo ntabwo bindeba, ntabwo aho handi handeba. Njye n'umuyobozi w'iki gihugu ndareba iby'iki gihugu n'abanyarwanda, no gukorana nabo kugira ngo bashobore kumenya ibibafitiye inyungu n'ibitabafitiye inyungu. Ushaka rero kurenga amategeko cyangwa gukora we kubera ko agomba gukora uko yifuza, ibyo ari byo byose aba ari byo bishyirwa imbere, abo ngabo bazahangana n'ababishinzwe kubishyira mu buryo. Hari ikintu nabonye mu byo nsoma n'iki kugira ngo bijyanye n'ibyo abantu bibaza, ariko se uko bikorwa, kunenga uko bikorwa, uko bishyirwa, ndavuga uko bikurikiranwa, uko abantu bafatwa, uko bagira bate, uko bagenzwa, bishobora kuba birimo ikibazo uko abantu bavuga. Ibyo mbona ibyo niba ari ikibazo, ni ikibazo gitoya ugereranije n'ikibazo kiriho gishaka gukemurwa, ariko nacyo ni ikibazo gishobora gukemuka. Inzego zibishinzwe baba bakora ibintu bitari byo, bakwiye kubihindura, ariko ntabwo byavana abantu ku ntego yo guhangana n'icyo kibi abantu bagomba guhangana nacyo. Ibyo kujya abifuza ko abantu babirwanya, ariko babivuga neza, bogeza babirimo, icyo ni ikindi kibazo cyoroshye gukemura.
Thank you, sir. We'll take the next question from Kensi. Okay.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I am Kakoza Nkuriza Charles, known as KNC, from TV1. Your Excellency, it's over a year since Washington Peace Agreement. But till now, FDLR, it is a threat to Rwandan security. Of recent, we heard of new cantonment and surrendering deal for FDLR and DRC Congo. And the Congo is putting it out as a commitment to the Washington peace agreement. Your Excellency, does Rwanda see it as the neutralization process that was put into that agreement, or it is a political trick? Thank you, Excellency.
Yeah, this problem of FDLR and other associated problems we have in the region, we have in Eastern Congo. First of all, it's not complicated. It's not difficult to understand what really is at issue. And this is a problem that has been there for 3 decades now. The whole world has got involved over time, and whether it is the UN, whether it is United States or Europe or Asia or name it. Africa, of course, where it is happening. For those who follow and want to really understand, minus the usual biases or complications people create for no good reason. The facts are there, they are clear. The origin of the problem is known. The handling and the mishandling of this problem over many years is known. The actors are known. So there have been, you are talking about the Washington Accords. These are just recent efforts. Before that, over many years past, the efforts and discussions and noises about how to deal with the problem have run into their hundreds. But you still remain with the problem. Some would even want to simplify it and say it is Rwanda the problem. Meaning if we didn't have Rwanda, or if there was a way of carrying this country somewhere and turn it into an island in the Pacific or Indian Ocean or wherever, remove it from here. That may be a solution. That's what they imply here. That maybe a solution would be found. But ask yourself whether that really is true. There are many parties to this program. One is Congo. The other is the international community that has really messed up this whole thing from the beginning, as we know it. There is Rwanda. There are other countries of our region. All these have a way they have contributed to the problem and a way they can contribute to a solution. But the way it is handled seems not to put that into account. And that's why the problem goes on forever. nobody addresses the root cause of this problem. I haven't heard of any effort so far that focuses and tries to address the root cause. It's always something superficial. It's one day, FDR, yes, they are there. Then the next day, no, they are not there. Actually, they were finished. Then another day, who are the FDR after all? I think Rwanda is just creating this thing as an excuse to go and steal minerals in Congo. And this kind of, I don't know what to call it, the kind of argument that goes on, even with the people you thought they were really serious. I think sometimes we overrate the capacity of leaders and countries and so. When you listen to some of these arguments and the people they come from, you really wonder what you have to deal with. So no root cause addressed. Then immediately there are sanctions. sanctions. I've never understood. You know, sanctions, yes, they really create problems. They do. But that is all. There are problems added to the problems that were originally there. That's all. It's not anything to do with trying to address the problem. And especially if you look at Congolese who are involved in this conflict for their own rights, the AFC, M23, and many other groups, case to answer. Are we the ones denying these Congolese their rights in the Congo? Are we even the ones who actually made them fight to restore their rights in the Congo? I will always come back to inform you as whether you want to keep it in mind or what. Even the origin of this conflict, as we know it, which started in, is it 2022 or what? We are now running into, is it 22? October 21, running into 22. How did it start? Actually, this conflict was started by Congo itself, working with people to have this invasion into Congo start, and the plan was always to put it on the shoulders of Rwanda. Try, without mentioning names, without anything, you people try to, as you live here, find out where did these people who are fighting originate from. Where did they come from? Did they come from Rwanda? If you find they came from Rwanda, maybe there is a reason to say, yeah, but there is something Rwanda is not saying in full. They are giving us a piece of story. Find out. So the start of this conflict is not by Rwanda. And then Rwanda comes to own problem, the origin of the problem. It is made to own the origin of the problem. Our Rwanda's problem has always been FDLR in Congo. I can repeat it 100 times. And if this problem of FDLR is not resolved, of course, Rwanda will always remain involved as part of this problem. I mean, there are no two ways about it. And this is something we have said for the last 30 years. So if you don't want Rwanda, if anybody keeps saying Rwanda, 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 and doesn't want Rwanda to have anything to say in this, why don't you remove this problem and see whether Rwanda was using it as an excuse? But there is even open information. By the way, people in Kinshasa, the government and officials, they say it publicly, openly. They've said it many times over a long time. They tell you, yeah, they want to bring change in Rwanda. The people that are saying this, FDLR, yeah, we see, okay, we are going to deal with them, we are going, like you said, they are the ones saying it. They are saying they have done something about FDLR, it is because they are there. If they were not there, they wouldn't be doing anything with or against FDLR. But what we know on a regular basis, they arm them, they integrate them in their own forces, and we have evidence because we have people here, former FDLR combatants who have been part of all those efforts. And either some of them came back home on their own or were captured in Congo, and they are telling the same story. You people, if you know a place called Mutobo, there is a place called Mutobo where we take people and for the effort of reintegrating them in society. These people are there, they give you space to interview directly these people who will tell you these stories. The same people of the UN, the same people in the US, the same people in Europe, the same people who keep asking questions, some of them representing their own governments, have actually been there and they have been told these things, and the very people involved have given them anything and everything they wanted to know about FDLR and how it is well embedded and supported by and in Congo. So these questions that keep coming, you know, I mean, we live in a world that is like this. We have to deal with it the way it is. So for us, I mean, we have calmed ourselves down and are having to deal with the world that we have. We cannot create our own world. That's too much for us. So we deal with it as the way it is. We carry the blame that is not ours. We've been insulted, abused, belittled, and to a point that sometimes people are made to feel like you really don't matter in this world. What they tell us, what they keep saying. It's like they're giving us a message, you don't matter. Yes. We will do anything that contributes to that protection, day or night. There are no two ways about it. That one we will, no question. We will also try to do what is right. If we, we are a country that can't afford to mess up. If you give the so many we do what is right to protect ourselves, and we will do it without fear or favor, day or night, anytime. We are happy to do that. Actually, it's a pleasure to do the hardest task to protect ourselves. That's what it is. And the rest, what we try to do is actually, we've been trying to team up with other countries in bringing peace in different parts of our continent. And that simply underlines how much we want peace. Rwanda, we want peace. To the point that we are ready to fight for it. And that's our main thing. We want peace, and we want to work with others to have peace. So with all that I have given you, figure out what answers your question. But that's what it is.
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take the next question. We'll take one from James Munyaneza, TNT.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is James Munyaneza. I'm from the New Times. And I want also to go back to the issue of the region. Of course, we have Burundi to the south. And the president of Burundi recently said that there were conversations with Rwanda, and Rwanda made the commitments that he claims Rwanda did not honor. If you could shed some light around that, and this relates to the suspects linked to 2015.
Around something that didn't happen.
Okay, I think that's very important to understand, because he made these claims.
Well, let's be clear. That where did that happen and when?
So from what you were saying, it sounded like there had been conversations between the two countries, bilateral engagements.
When? What time? Because the time matters.
I think that was not clear from what he said.
So everything is not clear.
Okay.
I don't know how you can answer that.
Yeah,
because there is no commitment we ever made that we did not fulfill.
Okay.
Not with the president of Burundi, not with anybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Unless really something comes up specifically, then I will answer it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's now clear enough.
But maybe you might find one night he dreamt and thought that happened.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember when we talked, and actually is the one who did not do what he, and I think I have ever said this, at the beginning, when the Burundi forces went to the north of Kivu North in Goma and other things. When we landed, We learned about it through intelligence. I called, I'm the one who called the president of Burundi that time, and asked him, I asked him that I have heard there are forces of Burundi going to our north Kivu. I said, why would you be, and I told him, I said, there have also been these accusations that Burundi, in a way, has been associated with this FDLR. Much earlier, before there had been some, we remember in Inyungwe area when there was, there were reports and there were incursions from Burundi, some group called this, they have some name.
FLN?
FLN. They were coming from there. So I said, but I have heard, on top of that, association of Burundi with FDLR. Now I'm hearing that you are sending forces to North Kivu. I said, President, is this true? The man said, no. It was like, who told you? There is nothing like that. In fact, he insisted, he told me I should check, I should cross-check my information. That those people who just want to cause problems, must be people who told me lies, and so on and so forth. I said, President, I will take your word, much as I think the reports I received were credible. But I will take your word for it. I mean, a couple of weeks after, they were captured in the North Kivu. Yes, I had discussed it with him. So I don't tell lies like he did to me. I don't. So on that one, I don't know which meeting or commitment or whatever he's referring to.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President, on that. Finally, if you may allow, recently there has been reports about a planned oil refinery by R. Dangote in the East African region, in Kenya specifically. And then reports also, were saying Kenya is, he had offered a stake, 30% stake. And then they mentioned Kenya, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and other interested countries. Has there been such a conversation on Rwanda potentially acquiring a stake in that project, that oil refinery? Just in case, thank you.
In a way, there has been. But it is too early to talk about the details, because I think it is work in progress. Things are still being thought out. But what I can say is that Rwanda would be very happy to be part of that kind of investment.
Thank you, Excellency. I'll take another question. Yes, Miriam? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mariam, and I'm a content creator from Morocco. I have been cycling around the continent for the last 3 years, crossing 34 African countries. And while traveling, I saw how...
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And while cycling, I saw how much it was challenging and expensive to cross borders. And
especially Rwanda's.
Rwanda was visa-free, so I was glad this
I thought it was challenging in terms of mountains and...
No, the physical challenge was easier than the borders crossing.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so while crossing, I saw how this limits African connection with each others. Yeah. But we saw how Rwanda was example of African interaction and making it easier, like for African to cross the country or visit the country. Mm-hmm. And my question for Your Excellency, what's the example of the mindsets you can give like to African leaders to make it easier for Africans to connect and build opportunities together? Thank you.
Right. Well, to begin with, I don't want even remotely to be perceived like I'm thinking for other people. I think for myself, and together with Rwandans, we think for ourselves. We can think together with others if they want so, if they invite us, if they think it is helpful. But we always want to do our best at home here. But in the meetings we have had, and there have been several at different government official levels of different countries on our continent, to talk about this visa-free or making really or ease of crossing borders and so on and so forth. We give our opinion, not only our opinion, but example of what we are doing for ourselves, so that other people either may, because what we are telling them, first we demonstrate that we have not encountered any serious problems by making it easy for people to cross our border, in or out. We just demonstrate that. We haven't found any problems. What we have discovered are only benefits. And that's what we share with the people. We tell them, for us, in our experience, we have discovered the benefits. And we tell our brothers and sisters, why wouldn't you want these benefits yourselves? But that's where we stop, because we can't do anything for anybody else. So, yeah, we keep doing what we think is best for us, or even for the continent, that is within our means, and keep sharing it, and keep looking forward to working together with others in the continent to do really what is expected. That's the only thing we can do. Yeah. So otherwise, I mean, one of the benefits is that you can be there and tell the story. You didn't lose anything, we didn't lose anything. I think we gained that you were able to come to our country and do whatever you want to do, and you will leave when you want to leave, and you will come back sooner rather than later. And that's, so imagine if it was multiplied thousands or millions of times, the benefits the Africans would have in that.
Thank you, Excellency. Shall we take a question from Iramide, the front? The front.
Good day, Mr. President. My name is E.B.G. I'm an actor, digital creator from Nigeria. It's my first time in Rwanda, and I must say it's beautiful. Thank you for having myself and the other creators. I'll be speaking from the perspective of a creative, essentially, and tying it to the E.B.G. theme for this year. If Met-Africanism is pretty much about moving from simply recognizing our shared identities as Africans to more or less building together at this time and building meaningful connections, what does that exactly mean for the African creative industries? Essentially, if you have to put in place some policies or whatever changes as the president to further help African creators, African creatives in general, build sustainable careers, collaborate together, and essentially tell our stories ourselves on a global scale? What would that policy be? And I think because you just said something almost similar to my question in response to Miriam's own, because you don't want to think for the rest of Africans, I think you should just tell us from the perspective of your position as the president of Rwanda, what exactly would Rwanda do to help build a better ecosystem for African creatives? Thank you, sir.
Yeah. First, the African creatives exist, and that's why you are there and doing whatever you're doing. So you already have pretty much in ideas of what could be done. In fact, I would even flip the question and ask you, since you started the journey yourself, and it's a good thing that you really happen to be, and with all the work you've done or what you've gone through, what are the hindrances you've encountered on the way that you thought and said, no, but if this thing was not like this, maybe I would do better, I would be better in service of the creative industry. So bear that in mind as well, because that helps me to say, oh, so meaning the task is for both of us. You tell me from your experience, and I will respond to that with my responsibility at the policy level to make sure that the obstacles you meet maybe shouldn't be there, and therefore they should be removed. You see what I mean? Yes. This conversation is already useful. You are there, and like others who raise it, whether it is the AFCFTA or the lady from Morocco who was riding through this country, and the creative, and so you're all having a journey in your minds and in your experiences and whatever professions. And in trying to go a step further every day, there might be challenges that raise in you some questions you should put to us and say, but how? How come that the proud African continent that wants to achieve this and that, at least we make all this understood in the way of statements. How can you be the ones at the same time who create these obstacles? Really, this should be a very serious conversation, and you should not hesitate to raise it. Rather than for me to say, as the president, I will try and do this and do that. Maybe some of the things I even have in mind to do are not answering your questions. Yes, I want, give us what you think, and then let's talk about it. Let's find a way to, right? You want to give him a microphone, he wants to say something. Please, whoever has a microphone, where are you? No.
Thank you, sir. I think you have rightfully made a fantastic point. It's clear that it takes two to tango in this situation. Now, from my POV as a growing filmmaker, I work in one of the biggest film industries out of Africa, and that's Nollywood. I hope for a time when the talent that we have in Nollywood can transcend into more African countries. And I'm not even saying outside of Africa continent right now, because I think that we don't have a talent problem here in Africa. It's more of a connection issue. Now, what Rwanda is doing is beautiful, bringing creators from across the continent to connect, and I think we've collaborated more because we're now in the same space, and you're doing something as beautiful as the E.B.G initiative. If there's a request that I would make to make this easier, as regards connection from one African country to another, which helps creators better, would be that, I know that you've tried it before, because you said that you've tried advising people about the benefits of, hey, make the borders a little bit more easier for people to come in. And, you know, of course, you can't think for them. You've shown them the benefits, it's up to them to decide. We would just make a little bit more request that, please, for our sake, just maybe from initiatives like this, and of course the stories that we would tell as creators out there for people to see, just help us find a better way to
nudge them.
Yes, like, guys, I want you guys to see it. So well, maybe our presidents and policymakers would do better. Thank you so much.
I'll try that and anything that can be. You know, one time I had an opportunity. I also heard recently there were some leaders from Nigeria. One time I met governors. Came here. They came here. I think they had been organized by UNDP or something. They are the ones who asked. From Nigeria, they came all the way here. There were about 16 of them, if I remember well. And they had the governors, and their representatives, they themselves came here. And they came here because I think through the interaction with the UNDP and others, they had learned of a number of things that maybe that could be useful to them in the governance area if they tried it. So I had a very long chat with them. I varied my time. What I did was to take them through where we have been and how we have come to be where we are by the time they visited. And I said, there are aspirations, people want to, you know, come from one position to another, but it's all about how you can improve. It's always going forward and better. So I took them through everything I could think of. I said, for you, some of your states have bigger GDPs than Rwanda's. So it's not for you even an issue of resources. You have resources. But what do you want to do with your resources and how to the benefit of your different categories of people? Meaning, I don't control their GDPs, their budgets, their money. No, it is them who control it. So where do you want to put it? And that's why I was giving them what we are going through and where we put our money and why and so on and so forth. But also, governance is just not about that. It is also about some of the things we are talking about. Making it easy for people to do what they can and want to do. The ease of doing anything for people. I took them through that. And I also showed how deliberately we put some laws in place to actually facilitate that. But it's not the laws that are going to deliver, it's again the practice. The practice that includes accountability and different things. So I took them through all that. So therefore, the whole idea was, and by the way, we included how crossing of borders, from one country to another. And the other day in another meeting here in Kigali, there was one of the great Nigerians, very wealthy man, who told us a story, how he went to some country in Africa, they literally at the airport told him to go back, and this is a man, a wealthy man, worth billions. So. And even has investments in that country. But they turned him back at that airport. They only allowed the pilots, I think, to go and sleep because they couldn't, they had been flying for so many hours. I mean, why go through that, and why take somebody through that? What is the benefit? What is the principle behind it? So these are some of the things, and it is everybody's task. Those who, want to do whatever they want to do, to keep voicing that and saying, please, don't stand in our way. What we are doing is not harmful to anybody, but beneficial to everybody. What is the answer going to be from those who create obstacles? I don't understand. So anyway, let's keep trying. let's each do our parts from whatever vantage point we are, but working together even more, we can make a difference. I'm sure the story of the lady from Morocco, so riding through, first of all, cycling across Africa is very impressive on its own. I mean, for somebody to try and put a roadblock for that, I mean, I don't know, it must be crazy. Yes. So, yeah, we can keep talking about it, but there are things that are self-inflicted, problems that are self-inflicted here on our continent, to say the least. Self-inflicted. There are problems we create for ourselves. But let's keep trying.
Thank you, sir. We'll take one more question. Scovia, please, go ahead.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika.
Before that, Scovia,
Mr. President.
Exchange nabonye hagati yawe na Minister Olivier byari ibiki? What happened? Interested kumenya uko nayo ukurikiranye nkagerageza kureba ikibazo kirimo nkakibura. So now I want you to, mbere yo kumbaza banza unsobanurire menye ibyabaye niki.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika. Ikibazo cyabaye ko ntazi igifaransa neza ku rwego nyakubahwa minisitiri yumvaga nkwiye kuba nkiziho, ngerageza gushyira ijambo rye mu kinyarwanda kugira ngo abanyarwanda bumve, aje kunsubiza ko ntabikoze neza, hari ku cyumweru
yakosoraga ikinyarwanda
ni ukuvuga ngo hari message yari yanditse cyangwa ubutumwa mu gifaransa asubiza, yavugaga kuri ishu ya Kongo, hari abo ibyo yasubizaga, tugerageza gushyira mu kinyarwanda, ngira ngo ntitwabivuga neza nk'uko igifaransa kibivuga, tugerekeje.
Ariko se kuvuga neza hari icyo mwanyuranyijeho se cyo yavugaga?
Ntabwo twakimenye kugeza ubu kubera ko
ndavuga isi ushobora kuba yaravugaga ikintu mukagisobanura mu buryo butandukanye n'ibyo yavuze. Ubwo ni nko kuvuga ngo mwavuze ibyo atavuze, ariko hari no kuvuga ibyo yavuze wenda mu rurimi we yumva rudahagije. Biratandukanye.
Yego.
Icyo cya kabiri nge nta kibazo mbonamo, kuba wavuga ibyo navuze n'ubu ngubu nimuva ugenda ugasobanura ibintu navuze cyangwa nashubije mu nzira iyo nabishyiragamo ariko wenda ururimi rukagobwaho akantu gato ntabwo njye nabibonamo ikibazo ariko ugiye ugahindura ibyo navuze Yesu ukavuga ko navuze no ubwo biba byahinduye isura aho niho nagira ikibazo niko byagenze or what happened
ntabwo twigeze duhindura icyo yavuze nuko tutakivuze mu gifaransa ngira ngo cya nyacyo kuko na message
utabisobanuye mu kinyarwanda
agerageje ngira ngo naho habaye kutumvikana na nyuma ndisegura kuko ntari ku rwego wenda rwo gusubiza
ariko wiseguriraga iki
ko nashubije minister ndi umunyamakuru muri urwo buryo n'ubu ndacyasaba imbabazi
oya bishoboka ahubwo azagusaba imbabazi ariwe kuko ibi bya protocol ibya Janese ntabwo birimo protocol Yes, ndabona ushaka icyo kintu ndashaka kuko nabonye hari ugusaba imbabazi sinabyumva kudasobanura neza ariko nabyo bifite ikindi bivuze bibiri
neza ni ukuvuga ko ibyavugwaga mu gifaransa si byo byavugwaga mu kinyarwanda biratandukanye si ukuvuga ko ikinyarwanda cyari kibi oya ntabwo cyasobanuraga icyo igifaransa cyavugaga
byanyuranye bite
it was not opposite sinibuka neza ariko icyo gihe twarabibonye twese tuti niba mutazi igifaransa nta mpamvu yo gukomeza kuvuga mu kinyarwanda mwihimbira
ariko ubwo namwe mwagiye mu rurimi gusa ntimwareba content njye ndashaka kumbwira content
nyakubahwa unyemereye
buretse
content nuko
cyanyuranyijeho ni iki yavuze iki ku buryo kinyuranyije n'icyo undi yari yavuze
aho izo mvi zanjye zintaye mu gihe kuko no ariko icyo nibuka icyo gihe kuko twese twabibonye icyo minisitiri nta makosa yakoze avuga ati hari ibyo gihe navuze mwebe musobanurira mubwira abanyarwanda ibitari byo
yes ariko ntabwo wavuga utyo gusa utavuga ibyo ari byo nawe
muri aka kanya mu mbabarire n'izo
urabivuga n'imbaraga ukagira ngo kuko hari substance hari na form hari content na form content ya misrepresentinze ni iyi ariko the form bijyanye na language bishobora kuba bitari uko bikwiye kuba bimeze cyangwa uko byumva ariko did it change the content
yes
uravuga yes nakubaza ntabwo bizi
nibyo nibuka ariko na minister nawe arahari
of course n'ubundi iyo mbwira nkabaza minister na mbere hose yes minister tubwire biri important kuri jye nabonye abantu bahereka ariko nta protocol iri mu ibi bintu nabonye hari wasubiza ngo abwiye minister nabi minister nabi ko tubaze
murakoze your excellency ntabwo byari ikibazo cya protocol ntabwo byari n'ikibazo cyo gusubiza minister nabi nge nta kibazo nari mbifiteho ikibazo ni content nari navuze bijyanye n'inama yabereye i Nairobi ya Africa Forward Summit twari twagiyemo
tujya ku substance nyine
quickly kuko guverinoma ya Kongo yari yavuze yuko ngo mu nama ngo bavuze ko u Rwanda rwabateye bakabibwira bari mu nama kandi iyo nama ntabwo perezida wa Kongo yari ayirimo yaje irangiye bazanye umukandida wa muri francophonie
so abanyekongo ibyo bavuze nibyo bitari byo
hanyuma ndabivuga muri tweet mu gifaransa mbabwira ko ibyo bintu mwavuze
ko abanyekongo ibyo bavuze
atari byo hanyuma rero mu kiganiro na Scovia barimo bagerageza gusemura barabiquestioninga byose
bande
ibyo navuze barabiquestioninga yuko muri ikiganiro Scovia n'abandi banyamakuru basangiye stage muri mama w'u Rwagasabo hanyuma baranavuga yuko bavuga yuko ibyo navuze ahubwo bagiye kubibaza umuhanzi witwa Sherry Silver wari watumiwe ngo aze muri party yagombaga kuba after the meeting ya Africa Forward Summit ku buryo navuze yuko bitanakwiye yuko
no ariko ibyo bavuze bitajyanye n'ibyo bavuze ni ibiki
nibyo ngibyo byuko Kongo yanenze u Rwanda mu nama kandi Kongo perezida wayo ataranahari ibyo nibyo navuze bo baranabiquestioning
banabiquestioninze cyangwa babiripotinze ku buryo butari bwo
babiquestioninze ibyo navuze bavuga ko ahubwo baza no kubaza umuhanzi
babiquestioninze bavuga ko ibyo wavuze bitari byo nicyo cyangwa
ko bitari byo ko bitumvikana ko ahubwo baza kubaza uwo muhanzi ko ari wewe uza kubisobanura
ikitarumvikanaga ngo nikize
nibyo nanjye nibaza kuko ibyo navugaga byari clear kuko Kongo yavugaga ko ngo batunenze ko mu nama ya Africa Forward Summit kandi Kongo itari nahari baraje
ariko ibyo ni Kongo yabivuze
ibyo ni Kongo yabivuze ngewe ndabinenga muri tweet mu gifaransa
hanyuma
ahubwo bo barananenga bavuga ko bidasobanutse ibyo ndimo mvuga
bitasobanutse meaning what
ko ibyo mvuga nenga Kongo ko bitari clear kandi ari nge wari uhari muri iyo nama ibyo navuze byari bisobanutse kandi
ari ikintu kimisinga aho ngaho ntumva neza bakwandika bavuga ngo ibyo bavuze si byo bavuze ibyo bo kuri bo bakuvugiye ibyo wavuze se bitari byo
oya barabiquestioningaga yuko ibyo mvuga
bitumvikana
best ku bintu ntanumva kubera ko it was clear ibyo navugaga byuko Kongo ntabwo yari mu nama nishobora kuvuga
babiquestioninze bavuga se ngo Olivier arabeshya ntabwo biri ari byo yavuze cyangwa yavuze bashatse kuvuga ibyo wavuze ariko babivuga mu buryo butari bwo batanga indi content
bavuga ko ibyo mvuga bitumvikana ko ngiye ibyo mvuga nka Minister wa Foreign Affairs wari muri iyo nama ko ibyo mvuga bitumvikana ko ahubwo bagiye kubaza umuhanzi utari no muri iyo nama
umuhanzi se bamubarizaga iki
kubera ko yari yatumiwe muri party yabaye nyuma y'iyo nama hari party yabaye hari umuhanzi wari watumiwe ngo bafashe gutegura iyo party ngo nibo baza kubaza mu bintu byavugiwe mu nama y'abakuru b'ibihugu narindimo aho ngaho niho hari ikibazo
ariko ikindi kibazo muhitamo kubishyira ku rubuga muterana amagambo
nuko hari hashize n'iminsi mubwira ibyo batagiye basemura neza mwandikira akamubwira ko babikora nyuma bakongera bagasubira bakabidistortinga
ibyo byaje kuba noneho bitari interpretation ibyo bavuze gusa ko ibyo bavuze atari byo
ko atari byo ko babiquestioninga
It is very intriguing. What is it?
Nyakubahwa murakoze kongera kumpa umwanya
abandi mwari kumwe icyo gihe ni bande mbese
ni abanyamakuru dukorana ntabwo bari hano twari mu kiganiro
dusangira amagambo magufi turebe turangize
icyabaye leta ya Kongo yavugaga ko bari bahari nk'uko nyakubahwa minisitiri yari yabavuguruje nawe akavuga ko batari bahari noneho mu kiganiro kuko abari talk show atari kuvuga ngo turasoma amakuru kwa kundi twihuta
ni ikiganiro mwakora
ni ikiganiro noneho tubiteramo urwenya turavuga tuti se ko tutariyo nk'abanyamakuru Kongo ikavuga ko ihari u Rwanda minisitiri akavuga ko adahari turaza kubaza uwo muhanzi twabonye we yaranahara tubwira ngo yarashinzwe protocole kuko yagaragaye yifotoza muri iyo nama na perezida w'Ubufaransa ari nawe
mwibaza ngo noneho icyabaye niki
twibaza ngo niki tubavuga tuti turaza kubaza uwo ni utari ku ruhande rwa Kongo ntabe na minisita ashobora kutubwira ko yamubonye cyangwa atamubonye tubivuga dutyo turagenda nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika ngira ngo ikibazo cyaje kuba ubwo nyakubahwa minisita yazaga kuri Twitter akoresha imvugo igira iti Madame Scovia Mutesi ikiganiro cyanyu kiratera urujijo mu banyarwanda inyandiko yanjye yanditse mu rurimi rwumvikana ubutaha muzashaka umunyamakuru uvuga neza igifaransa asemura inyandiko nk'iyi uko bikwiye mbere y'uko muyiganiraho nibiba ngombwa muzabaze
ariko urumva mwese mugira ngo mufite
muzambaze
uretse mufite ikibazo Olivier ko avuga uko minisitiri avuga ni nk'aho bavuze ngo ibyo yavuze asubiza ko abanyekongo batari bahari, mwavuze ko ni nk'aho muvuga ngo abanyekongo bo baravuga ngo bari bahari, wowe uravuga ngo ntibari bahari. Nibyo byateye urujijo.
Yego.
Okay? Ntabwo byaba ikibazo cy'igifaransa rero cyangwa ikinyarwanda. Kuko niba uvuga ngo mu iyi nama ntabwo bariya abantu bari bahari. Okay? Then wowe ukavuga ngo minisitiri ibyo avuga ntabwo ari byo, bariya baravuga ngo bari bahari, minisitiri aravuga ngo ntibari bahari. Icyo kikaba ari cyo kiba ikiganiro, ntabwo ari ikibazo cya interpretation. Ikibazo cy'abantu bavuze nk'abahakana ko ibyo bavuze atari byo, kubera ko wavuze ko batari bahari abanyekongo kandi wenda ntibari bahari, ariko bo baravuga ngo ariko reka tubaze abanyekongo bo barabivuga nk'abari bahari, ubanza bari bahari. So meaning barashaka kumenya niba wowe ibyo wavuze ko batari bahari ari byo. Ntabwo ari ikibazo cya interpretation ya language. Biri he aho ngaho? Ni ikibazo cyo kunyomoza kuvuga ngo minisita yatubwiye ko abanyekongo batari bahari. Reka tubaze uriya umuntu wundi wari uhari akutubwire ko kuko abanyekongo batari bahari. Ntabwo ari ikibazo cy'igifaransa cyiza cyangwa kibi. Ni ikibazo cyo guhakana icyo wavuze in whatever language you said it. Sinzi niba mubyumva. Ahangaha ikibazo cya interpretation ya language kivuye he? Cyangwa igifaransa kibi cyangwa ikinyarwanda kitumvikana bivuye he? What is at issue here is to prove that either abanyekongo ibyo babivuze koko bari bahari, cyangwa se babivuze babeshya ntibari bahari. Ariko we Olivier yavuze ko abanyekongo batari bahari. So icyo ni ikibazo cya the substance of the argument, it's not the language. So mwagihinduye ikibazo cya language gute?
Ntabwo twagihinduye ikibazo cya language.
Ndavuga na minisita niwe mbwira. Ntabwo ari ikibazo cya language ngo uzajya ubwira abanyarwanda kuko niyo waza kuba yabyumvise igifaransa neza. Stili yajya kuvuga ngo Olivier yatubwiye ko abanyekongo bari bahari kandi batari bahari. Yatubwiye ko batari bahari kandi bari bahari kuko abanyekongo baravuga ngo bari bahari. Is that an issue of language? Ibyo mukabiteranaho amagambo mu media gute? Yes.
Mwakoze kutwemerera kuba dufite telefone. Nitwa Mutoyezo Swald. Byose narabikurikiye. Ndetse nanjye nagize comment kiraho. Minisita aranyandikira kuko nanavuze ngo bakwiye kuba babiganiriye mu gikari bitari ku Karubanda. Minisita arambwira ati byari maze kuba byinshi. Nge uko nabikurikiye nkanabisesengura impamvu minisita yazanyemo ikibazo cy'igifaransa ni impaka ni ndende, ntabwo ari kiriya gice cyonyine, hari ukundi babisemuraga ukumva harimo amakosa. Ntekereza ko rero mubabaje njye mbona hari ababirigi nibo babazwa nuko
nta nubwo bababajwe rero na content n'ukuri abantu bababajwe na language.
Yego. Mu buryo basemuraga birashoboka ko ni isesengura ryanjye. Minisita atekereza ati ubwo niyo conclusion bakoze ishingiye kuko baba batari kumva neza ubutumwa. mpagurutse ngira ngo nkemure iki kibazo n'umuntu yandikiye arambwira ati ndabizi ko wabikurikiye saba ijambo ukemura ikibazo. Noneho iyindi interpretation kari akantu ka Sheryl Silver Mutesi Kove yagakubisemo nk'uwiterera urwenya, ntabwo byari ibintu biremereye, ariko minisitiri aravuga ati mama Rwagasabo irakurikirwa cyane, aba bakurikira bakeneye amakuru atomoye azira urujijo.
Ariko amakuru yarari aho ngaho nayahe ko nta
kiriya kibazo cyari gikomeye ko Perezida wa Repubulika kumva abanyekongo bavuga ko perezida yarahari kandi yaraje byarangiye, ndavuga Tshisekedi. So noneho we minisita yari itonze ashishimura message azingo arabwira abanyekongo noneho babazwa no kubona abantu baje bagasa nk'abayigabanyiriza ubukana, ariko ni ibintu bashoboraga gukemurira mu gikari. So ni ibyo rekano yo gutinda
kuko bavuga kubikemura. Je ntabwo ndabona ikibazo cyari cyubanza, ariko mwarabuza akazi muri nkora gusa, ariko n'aba ministers mwajya muri yo argument harimo iki ko ntaracyumva n'ubu. Albert wahoze kuvuga cyane mu zirukomeye we substance aho ngaho yabaye yihige ko nayumva yazanye intambara mu bantu bakabiki batuwazi.
Nashatse
bamwe muri abo bantu badiscussingaga ari side ya minister.
No, no, ikibazo kirimo kuko we icyo yashubije kuko niyo mpamvu minister avuga ati mukwiye gushaka abantu bazi basisimura igifaransa neza mu Kinyarwanda. So uko basasimuraga ntuza icyo gifaransa mu Kinyarwanda babwira the public audience.
Ubwo icyo yakemuraga ni minister
nuko
cyagomba gukemura ni ikintu kimwe gusa. Perezida yarari aho ngaho cyangwa ntiyarahari?
Je nabwo yarahari.
Ibindi byo ururimi wabivugamo rwose, it doesn't matter. Ikimataringa ni fact yuko either abantu mu rurimi bavuga urwo rwose rwaba ari ruzima rutari ruzima baravuga ko perezida yarahari kandi atarahari.
Yes.
Niho substance iri.
Sure.
Ariko ibyo ngibyo uvuga ni nkaho argument iri ku language, it's not on the substance.
No, the argument is nk'itangazamakuru to in fact kubwira abantu ibitari byo, kandi nawe impamvu bibaye ni ukutumvise neza icyo gifaransa.
Ariko Albert urumva nawe ari we ari na riviye nyine mufite ikibazo. Ikibazo cyanyu ni language, ikibazo cyanyu ni substance.
The substance that is the wrong message ugeza ku Banyarwanda.
Yihese iyihe yagejeje
yo questioninga ibyo minister yavuze.
Now question ibyo navugaga rero ubu noneho bitwayeho byari biri ya questioning ibyo minister yavuze. Now that becomes the substance kurimo.
No, it's not exactly. Mr. President, Excellency, the problem is where ajango abanyarwanda bumve the substance uko yari imeze. Hanyuma mu itangazamakuru mbere ko utangaza muri audience ukwiye kumenya ko ibyo ugiye kubabwira ari byo. So wasobanukiye nabi ukabwira the audience the wrong message.
Yababwiye.
In fact, they were questioning even ibya minister.
Why not?
Okay.
Why can't the minister's statement be questioned?
No, okay, why not? Fine, let's take it. You question the minister. Fine. So, you
should be asking what I'm asking. Now, if you a journalist agomba conforming ku byo minister yavuze, it's not right.
Okay, in fact, tuvuge nkanje wabikurikiye icyo gihe kubera ko narinzi inkuru uko yari iteye. For me also I was saying kabisa mugenzi wanje mu itangazamakuru ari haratangaza inkuru itari yo. That is my personal
ariko yatangaje iki ko ya questionings gutangaza no questioninga no kubaza uvuga ko ushaka kumenya ukuri it's not ntabwo ari gutangaza.
In fact ni nkaho yemezaga ko wenda ibyo abanyekongo bavugaga byari byo, ariko kandi yashoboraga kubikura
berecisha make hari aho ya byanditse muri iyo language, hari aho yabiquestioninze byaba mu cyongereza mu gifaransa cyangwa mu kinyarwanda.
jewe uko minister avuze ibintu wari uhari nk'umunyamakuru nagendera kuri ibyo ngibyo.
Kuki umunyamakuru wari wese abishatse atavuga ati ngiye ko biri ariko byabaye kubera ko undi yavuze ko atari byabaye, yaba ari uwo munyekongo cyangwa undi. Ishu ni iyihe none? Ubwo we Olivier wumvaga ikibazo ari iki? Mwagiye mu mpaka z'iki ko noneho bigenda biba even
Murakoze Your Excellency. Byatangiye kuri ishu yo gusemura mu kinyarwanda kuko bari mu kiganiro nk'abanyamakuru bane, uko bagendaga basoma iyo tweet mu gifaransa bagerageza kuyisemura ariko
bayisemuye banyuranya n'iki specifically. Ndashaka ko tuba specific bikava mu bintu bya rusange gusa. Barabisemuye batanga wrong impression y'ugute n'iki batanze distortinze muri
nk'urugero nabaha kuri ibyo bya Kongo ko yari hari cyangwa itari hari ku buryo hari ngira ngo Scovia yagezana navuga ngo ariko ngo wenda bashobora kuba bari bahari ariko perezida atarahari, perezida wa Kongo, ariko Kongo yari hagarariwe. Kandi njye navuze yuko the chair was empty kandi byari byo. Chair ya DRC nta muntu n'umwe wari uriho, nta n'abantu bari bariho.
Kubera ko wavuze akavuga atyo icyo wajyaga kumusubiza ni ukumubwira ngo no actually nta n'umwe wari uhari gusa, izindi ntambara ubwo zasubiza nk'iki.
Nibyo nari navuze muri iyo tweet yuko the chair was empty
ko ariko erega nta muntu wowninga facts cyangwa ukuri ngo iyo yavuze nta ugira icyo abaza, wabivuze ni nabyo ariko somebody expressinze ko ashaka kumenya ko ibyo ari byo. What is wrong with that?
Ikibazo cyari gihari nuko it was even questioning a fact. It was not even my opinion. It was a fact.
Questioning what? No, it was your opinion, much as it was a fact. Kuko niwe wari wabizanye. Your opinion can be a fact, much as it may not be a fact. Your opinion is not always a fact. Nobody, this is why I'm telling you, nobody owns the fact. And that's why journalists, as we know it, nubwo mujya mutunenga ahubwo twebwe ntabwo numva ko iyo umuntu yavuze ikintu kubera ko ari minister, byanavuzwe ko ari minister, so nobody says anything kubera ko byavuzwe na minister. How? So your exchange is flawed. It's not right. You didn't even, if you really wanted to act even as a minister, you wouldn't have had this exchange like the way you did. Niba ari ukugiye kujya udiringa n'aba journalists, then there is a problem. So byabanje kuba ko ari interpretation ya French n'ikinyarwanda kuko ni nabyo wanditse, ni nkaho bababwiraga ko bakwiye kuba bazi igifaransa kizima kitari icyo. So byavuye no kuri substance byagiye muri ibyo ngibyo birimo iki wowe nka minisitiri cyo bibonamo ni iki none?
It was just to ensure yuko abanyarwanda bahabwa the right information kubyerekeye ibyabaye gusa.
The right information iva mu bibazo bibazwa. If they are asking you and you can substantiate what you are saying, Abanyarwanda, they are benefiting. Another time, actually, they may question you and find what you said was not right. Still, Abanyarwanda will benefit. Because Olivier does not have a monopoly of facts. Do you?
No, I don't, sir.
Hey, so. Why would you behave in exchange as if you own the facts? Na Albert wagusapotingaga bimwe uranamubaza akavuga ati nabyibagiwe ati ntabwo numva mbizi ubwo se what is the argument? Muvaneho akajagari muza. So you ask what you are. Actually, what concerned me why I raised it, I saw him her apologizing, and I thought she didn't have to apologize. Apologize for what?
Nasabye imbabazi kubera ko ndi umucuruzi mfite televiziyo minisitiri kuvuga ko tutize dufite ibintu bitameze neza nshobora gutakaza isoko nagombaga kujya mu ruhande rumeze rutya ariko
kuri jewe waritakaza wa apologizing. When you apologize,
babona nasabye imbabazi nabo bambabarire.
There was absolutely no reason to apologize. None. In fact, Olivier, Minister should have apologized to have even himself gone into exchange with the journalist over this nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. Okay, go ahead.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, ni Scovia Mutesi nyine inkorera mama rwa Gasabo. Ikibazo cyane gishingiye ku bijyanye n'amategeko ahari yemerera abakozi ku murimo, ariko dufite ikibazo muri iyi minsi cyaho abakozi bakorera ibigo byigenga private sector, aho usanga batabaha amasezerano y'akazi, abo bahaye amasezerano y'akazi nabo ntibabaha ibyo amategeko asaba, ndetse rimwe na rimwe ntibabishyure, binagenda bikagera no muri company za security, aho ushobora umuntu kumara amezi 3 adahembwa kandi mu by'ukuri usanga nahembwa amafaranga make cyane ari munsi y'50. Ikibazo ni ukureba uburyo abashinzwe kubahiriza amategeko bafasha abakorera muri private sector kugira ngo abakozi bakoreramo nabo bahemberwe ku gihe.
Ibyo niko bikwiriye kuba bimeze. Bibaho njya mbona na hano mu mujyi hari ubwo abantu bagera batya bajya kwibarabara kubera ko abantu babakoresha batabishyuye. Ntabwo ari byo. Abantu we shall sort it out. Sinzi ababishinzwe hano niba hari ba ministers hari abahari. It should not happen. Hakwiye kubaho accountability no kuri abo bantu bakoresha abantu ntibabishyure.
Tongere tubahe ikaze hano muri Kigali Convention Center aho tukirimo kubagezaho ikiganiro Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame arimo kugirana n'abanyamakuru nkaba nyiri Divin Wahanga ndacyari kumwe na mugenzi wanjye wo mu rurimi rw'icyongereza Tariki. Ni ikiganiro mwakurikiye cyatangiye mbere y'uko abanyamakuru batangira kugira icyo babaza umukuru w'igihugu, akaba yabanje gufata umwanya muto ashimira abanyarwanda avuga ko muri iki gihe isi
Perezida wa Repubulika nitwa Oswald Mutuyezu nkora kuri Radio DC aho nitwa Oswald Kim. Ndagira ngo bazi ikibazo kirebana n'ibikorwa remezo iby'amazi n'iby'amashanyarazi urebye intambwe yatewe kuva u Rwanda rwavuka bundi bushya ni nini cyane nko ku mashanyarazi arabona nje ntero urwenyine uruganda rw'ibyuma rw'imusanze rukoresha megawati zingana n'izo u Rwanda rwari rufite muri 1994 megawati 40 ariko nubwo amashanyarazi ahari anyuzamo akabura hakaba blackout ni iki kizakorwa kugira ngo amashanyarazi aboneke ubudacika bityo abashoramari bayakeneye abaturage bayakeneye babe bizeye 100% ko icyo atari ikibazo ni kimwe nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika n'amazi ibikorwa by'amazi byarubatswe ariko ubona umuvuduko kwiyongera kw'abaturage kwiyongera kw'amasite mashya yo gutura bigenda imbere y'ingano y'amazi muri iyi mpeshyi ho byabaye ibindi nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika ni iki kibura kugira ngo amazi ajya ari menshi no mu mpeshyi tuyabone ikinababaza nuko mu gihe cy'imvura senya akica akongera imikoki ibibanza bihenze by'ikigaruka usanga habaye ikintu cy'igikoki kinini abakire amazu bubaka ntibashyireho uburyo bufata amazi nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika mwagira icyo mubivugaho mukatwizeza wenda ko hari igihe kizagera bigakemuka burundu murakoze.
ngira ngo mu byo utangiye uvuga usa naho bisobanuye icyo kibazo uzi aho twahereye ko hari hameze hagomba kuba hatandukanye n'ubu ngubu uko hameze ni ukuvuga ngo ni investments zigomba gukorwa ariko nk'uko nigeze kubivuga nsubiza ikindi kibazo ibyo twifuza gukora byo urabizi ni byinshi ariko amikoro ahari ntabwo angana nabyo duhora dushaka uko amikoro yiyongera kugira ngo twongere mu bikorwa ari iby'amazi ari iby'amashanyarazi biriya bindi bavugaga bimwe si amikoro yandi akenewe y'igitangaza usibye gukoresha noneho ibyo dufite management y'ibintu hari n'amazi nyine y'imvura agira akahitana ibintu rimwe na rimwe hari ubwo hari ibishobora gukorwa n'abantu ku giti cyabo cyangwa na leta bafatanyije cyane cyane biri mu bushobozi bwacu kugira ngo bibe ariko rimwe na rimwe ntibikorwe nk'uko bikwiriye ibyo ni ibintu bihoraho ni ukureba rero uko leta yongera ingufu yongera ubushobozi ariko yongera no gukurikirana kureba ko ntabwo twahora dufite impamvu ituma tudakora n'ibyo dufitiye ubushobozi kandi ni byinshi n'ibyo dufitiye ubushobozi ariko bidakorwa urumva ko bigomba kuba bituruka mu bantu mu nzego ariko icyo gihe rero hagomba gukurikiranwa nibura kugira ngo ibishoboka ibyo dufitiye ubushobozi bikorwe ibyo tudafitiye ubushobozi gushakwa nabwo bishoboye kwihuta n'icyo cyifuzo rero urebye nta ibyo wavuze ni ibibazo byo bihoraho imyaka yose ariko tugomba guhora dushakira abantu bakora ibintu uko bikwiye babikorera igihe bakoresha amikoro ahari adahari hari n'uburyo nanone bwo gukomeza gushaka ayo mikoro ibyo rero niho abanyarwanda bapimira kumenya uko abayobozi babo babakorera cyangwa leta yabo bakorera igihe kigeze turishyura turabyishyura nabyo byakongerwagamo imbaraga abaturage bakabitubaza koko ndetse bamwe bakadusezerera bakavuga ko tutakoze ibihagije kandi byari bishobotse buriya bagira igihe cyabo bakwiye kuba bifatiramo bakaduhana
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take the next question from Jackie.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Jackie Lumbasi from RBA. Seeing as we have a good representation of the continent in the room, Your Excellency, you have always argued that the African continent is not short of resources or capable people. Sometimes our problem is how we view ourselves, how we think of ourselves. And you even mentioned earlier, some of those problems are self-inflicted. Your Excellency, Rwanda is set to host the Africa Mindset Reset Forum. As we host this forum, I'm wondering, in your opinion, not to speak for any other person, in your opinion, what is that mindset that you want to see Africa change? And when we change it, what do we replace that with? Thank you, Your Excellency.
You want to preempt my discussion? Why don't you wait just another few hours, and tomorrow we'll be together. I'll tell you what I think, so that I avoid repeating myself, right? Actually, part of it I have already said when I was answering some questions earlier. But the mindset, as we know it, is, people talk about planning, they talk about policy, they talk about vision. All those are very, very important. But the mindset seems to be that glue that connects all of them. The mindset makes these components work well together. So let me leave it at that. The rest you'll hear from me tomorrow. But mindset is important, and Africa has to do something about it. It has to think of how our mindset changes, and we leverage all the opportunities we have and capacities. They are there. But the mindset lacking. You can have somebody, imagine, you can have even a country, let's say like ours. The leadership, the behavior of that leadership, matters a lot in how do we deliver on certain aspirations or promise. Remember long ago, just a quick example here, well, like in many other places, but let me talk about here. Many years ago, we really had the people, including those like in your category, those who are here, who would not do much that they could have done, just because they think it is somebody else's responsibility, or worse still, they think somebody will come from somewhere outside of our borders to come and help, or to come and remind you what you have to do. And then you could find leaders so deficient in this area, where they would just, and adoring others for what she or he could have done himself. That's a terrible thing about mindset. Even when all the means are there, you still want somebody to remind you what you should be doing, or to instruct you, or you even feel you are accountable to the other one. I mean, about your own business, which really amounts to a shame in a way. So let me stop it here.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
We'll take the next question at the front, Israel.
All right, thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Israel Laye, and I am a broadcaster. I've been working as a broadcaster for 27 years, but I'm here at the behest of InfluencerAfrica.com because we brought the content creators to Rwanda at the behest of E.B.G. And I would say thank you for making it possible for us to be in this room. My question has to do with E.B.G. as a co-founder of the Africa School of Governance. I want to understand what success will look like for you, as in for the establishment of E.B.G. What success will look like for you, let's say, 5 or 10 years from now.
Yeah, success is defined by the very things we talk about almost on a daily basis. So success for me is in some layers. The first layer is here. I'm talking about Rwanda is not an island. It's part of the region, it's part of the continent. Rwanda's success without the success of others doesn't make much sense to me. I want to succeed where others are succeeding too. And, but therefore it means address. So you should allow others to come to you as well, and each other. That's the way we should treat everybody. This is about transformation. We talk about improving the livelihoods of our people probably faster. So that is, and the whole idea of ESG's, that African part. It's just to say, please, can we come together? Can we study together? Can we act together? Can we deliver together? Can we benefit together? So the whole idea of having such an institution is really to remind ourselves of our honorable but heavy task of making progress. Success is about making progress in things you have identified that matter to that success, and there must be a way even of measuring that. So, in a nutshell, for me, that is how and if the institution can be part of that, or act as a catalyst, at least to deliver as many other institutions.
Thank you, sir. We'll take the next question. Vincent?
Murakoze, Excellency. Vincent Gasana, KT Press. Maybe I should start by begging Your Excellency's pardon because I seem to ask more or less the same question whenever I get the opportunity. But it is a recurring theme, and we're back on the DRC crisis. So it is beginning to look incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to avoid the conclusion that the influential, powerful nations of the West are intent on directing attention away from the underlying causes of the crisis in the DRC. It's gone as far as a rather astonishing comment within the latest group of experts report that Rwanda, quote unquote, sponsors armed groups. They never say which ones they are. They are brazenly pretty much projecting what the DRC does onto Rwanda. Now, in order to avoid looking at the underlying causes, Rwanda is being scapegoated. So really, when you have these powerful nations thinking of nothing of going into the UN Security Council and looking away from the actual causes of a crisis, I'm wondering, Your Excellency, what is it that is left for Rwanda to do beyond repeating the facts about on the grounds, repeating the truth? What else can Rwanda do to ensure that we come back to actually looking at what the causes, what the crisis is about? And immediately, if I may, sir, very quickly, we hear a great deal about African solutions to African problems. Now, the DRC crisis is one of the gravest on the continent. But Africa, the organization, the institutions that should be looking at this, seems to be absent in action. So again, is there something that can be done to bring the solutions back to where they belong, and rather than outsourcing them to people who seem to have deaf ears to what really the solutions to the crisis are? Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Well, I think it's all well put, and just to say, what does Rwanda do about all this? First, survive and thrive. We have to make sure under whatever circumstances we stay intact. We still can survive all this and live by our right to live. Our right to live cannot be taken away by anybody, including the powerful West. Cannot take it away and from us. And so we have to make sure we stay together. We stay, as I said earlier, doing what is right that we can do. But you've put it so well. I mean, you can't help but wonder why this problem that has been there for these 3 decades, these problems don't go away, despite so much in terms of interest and from all over the place. And yeah, but we shall remain the course and keep contributing to what can find a solution, help us find a solution. And I mean, some of the things you've said, and I'm glad you are the one who said it, not me. Because when it is me, then it is another problem. But I build on what you've just said so accurately. And let's say if you look at the composition alone of the so-called group of experts, the composition has a connection with the history, as a connection with the history of this problem for probably centuries. So these are the people who, and the people who are supposed to be understanding the root causes of things we have to deal with. And they frame it like the root causes are just recent. Something that has a root cause in a century that has passed is portrayed as if the root cause was just 5 years ago. And there are people, even when you are reasoning with them, by the way, and saying, no, this is a fact, you can cross-check, this is a fact, and then they will say, no, but the group of experts are saying this. They refer to their people who have already written, framed a narrative that people must believe, not to address the problem, but to address it the way they want. You see? So, and if we go back and forth, we keep explaining, what you see, look at this is the one, this is that, this is what did. One thing later, and you demonstrate it, and even give evidence. Like I told you, there are people in Mutobo who testify to journalists, to government officials who come from abroad, and they tell you the story. It's not one, it's not two, it's like hundreds of testimonies. But they will still come back to what they want. Everything will be rubbish, to put aside, and they'll bring you back to what they want you to follow. So it's difficult for me to say, what can I do? To say, do I change the understanding of the problems that affect me, or the underlying facts relating to that, and agree with them so that I survive them? So is that an option? For us, we are left with the very narrow choices to pick from what we do. The choice is just to say, well, this is a fact. The cause is this. We are the ones concerned. We can tell you what we feel. So we say, this is where we are, and just go and do whatever you want. And that's how people go and do whatever they want, because even as I said earlier, it doesn't have to be addressing the problem. No, it's just sometimes it is either arrogance or wrong exercise of power that people have, and so they'll go back and sanction because you didn't agree with their falsehood. So meaning I'm twisting you to bring you to agree the wrong thing that they're. So what do we do? So we just stay the course and keep explaining, keep doing our best, and you can see here you have, let's say, two parties to the problem. Let me say that. One is actually less responsible for the problem being there. The other one is directly responsible. So the powerful will come and say, you know what, we want this responsible person, even if he's wrong, but we want him to be the one seen as the right one. And you argue, you present your case, but they say, okay, if you don't see it that way, we will sanction you. So they will sanction the one who is responsible so that the one who more responsible benefits the way they want, or benefits them the way they want. There is nothing you can do about that, except if these people decided to change their mind or the way they look at the problem. So for you, what you do is you just hold yourself together and try to survive everything being thrown at you. That's it. Otherwise, it cannot solve the problem. That you threaten me, you even try to do harm to me, or you try to do this, and so that somebody is broken and delivers whatever they want, even if it is wrong. So we just make sure we are not broken. That's it. It's our duty to make sure we don't get broken. And do the best thing. So what else can we do? What was the second part of your question was?
Yes, the African organizations outsourcing.
Unfortunately, the African solution to African problems hasn't really worked for a long time. It has become African problems added to African problems. Yeah, for me, that's what it's African problems for African problems. That's what we get. And some Africans are happy doing that, happy being part of it. And of course, then you will see the other non-African players who are powerful. They are enjoying that. No, they enjoy everything out of that. So these are things that we live every day, we see every day. And that's the life, and there has to be a way of continuing to find a way to live people's lives. We have to. Rwandans, we have gone through so much of this kind. I'm not saying that we are used and therefore let that continue. No, I'm only saying our history and the problems thereof have just shaped a situation where we have to try and cope every day. But we always have to do our best, and we will. And yeah, it's one day it is here, another day it is somewhere else, and so we keep going. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. Diana?
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Diana Iriza, and I am the correspondent for TRT World based in Istanbul, Turkey. Your Excellency, Kigali city is developing rapidly. It's growing, but for many ordinary Rwandans, especially the young Rwandans, are being kept stuck by the